Hello and welcome to UzReport World News. My name is Barnona Zarzoda. Uzbekistan's Kashkadarya region plans to implement more than 1,000 investment projects worth over $1 billion by the end of this year, press service of President Shavkat Mirziyoyev reported on March 15. New enterprises are set to annually produce goods worth some $570 million.
New products will replace $131 million worth imports. Exports will comprise $180 million. More than 19,000 jobs will be created, the press office said. Projects are set to be implemented in the cotton processing and construction sectors. The press service added that construction organizations in the region annually use 106,000 tons of drywall, 2,000 square meters of tiles and other building materials. Investments are also to be channeled towards the cultivation of fruits and vegetables using steppe areas for animal husbandry. Projects for growing potatoes and vegetables in the foothill villages of Shahrizabz district have both economic and social significance. For this purpose, the population will be allocated land plots, ready products will be purchased on the basis of cooperation. According to estimates, this will provide 34% of the regional demand for potatoes. The press service concludes.
Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan intend to further collaborate in the field of health, pharmaceuticals and education as the Uzbek President Shavkat Mirziyoyev had a telephone conversation with his Kazakh counterpart Kassym-Jomart Tokayev on March 15. According to the press service of the Uzbek president, the countries mainly touched upon the topical issues of further strengthening cooperation in the economic sphere. They also exchanged views on the international and regional agenda. At the end of the conversation, the heads of state warmly shared congratulations on the upcoming spring holiday of Nowruz, sincerely wishing peace and prosperity. Inflation in Uzbekistan in January and February this year slightly accelerated to 11.6% and 11.4% respectively, under the influence of seasonal factors and rising food prices, according to the country's State Statistics Committee. The central bank in its recent report said it forecasts inflation to slow to 9 to 10% by the end of 2021.
Since the beginning of the year, the inflation expectations of the population and business entities have decreased to 16.3% and 17% respectively, but they remain higher than the actual and forecast inflation indicators. In January-February 2021, food products added in price by 1.8%, which is 0.6 points lower than in the corresponding period of 2020. And 3.1 points lower than in January-February 2019. Prices for non-food products have soared by 1.1%.
The Central Bank of Uzbekistan has accredited the representative office of Kyongyang Bank. The representative office intends to establish cooperation with domestic banks to assist in improving the financial literacy of customers and implement Korea's best practices in the banking and financial system of Uzbekistan, the regulator said in a statement. So far, 5 foreign banks operate in Uzbekistan, including JP Morgan Chase Bank, Commerzbank AG and Korea Exim Bank. Mobile coverage of settlements has reached 98% in Uzbekistan as more than 31,700 mobile communication base stations have been set up and put into operation, the Uzbek Ministry of Information and Communication has reported. Uzbekistan is intending to bring the mobile coverage indicator to 99% by increasing the total number of stations to 33,700, it said. Some 5,641 mobile base stations have been commissioned in the country in recent years. Until 2020, work has mainly carried out to expand mobile networks. Now projects are being implemented to expand the network of coverage and provide internet services based on the 3G, 4G technologies. Around 3,600 basic 2G stations were converted to 3G, 4G standards in 2020. Not having noticed any side effects, Uzbekistan keeps the decision to receive the doses of AstraZeneca vaccine. While several countries have rejected its use already, the vaccine is set to arrive on March 17. For all these times, not a single fact of death after vaccine trials has been confirmed, the deputy head of the Service of Sanitary and Epidemiological Welfare, Botir Kurbanov, said. Uzbekistan is working closely with WHO and studying the effectiveness of vaccines approved by the organization. Uzbekistan has also ordered vaccine doses of Pfizer-BioNTech, Sputnik V and several others. Moreover, the country is jointly producing Chinese-Uzbek vaccine ZF-UZ-VAC 2001, which is considered 6 times better against British and South African strains than American Moderna. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization said on Monday that it was still conducting its safety review of the AstraZeneca Oxford COVID-19 vaccine as more countries suspended the use of this jab following reports that some recipients developed blood clots and died after being vaccinated. Since Friday, several countries have suspended the use of AstraZeneca vaccine as a precautionary measures after reports of blood clots in people who had received the vaccine from the 2 batches produced in Europe, said WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus at the press briefing at the WHO headquarters in Geneva.
Several more countries have suspended the use of AstraZeneca vaccines as a precautionary measure after reports of blood clots in people who had received the vaccine from 2 batches produced in Europe. This does not necessarily mean these events are linked to vaccination, but it's routine practice to investigate them. And it shows that the surveillance system works and that effective controls are in place.
The American government is about to withdraw Uzbekistan from the Jackson-Vanik Amendment. This has been reported after negotiations of Ambassador Javlon Vahabov with representatives of the U.S. Congress. My colleague has the details.
During the meeting, the co-chairman of the Caucus on Uzbekistan in the U.S. House of Representatives, Congressman from Mississippi, Trent Kelly, confirmed that the U.S. congressmen have prepared a resolution that contains a proposal to terminate the application of Jackson-Vanik Amendment against Uzbekistan. Kansas Congressman Ron Estes believes that the Jackson-Vanik Amendment is an echo of the last century. In his opinion, it should not apply to independent states that emerged after the collapse of the Soviet Union, including Uzbekistan, which has nothing to do with the restrictive measures imposed against a country that ceased to exist 30 years ago. Jennifer Gonzalez Colon, a Republican congresswoman from Puerto Rico, co-chair of the Women's Caucus in the U.S. Congress, noted that the removal of the Jackson-Vanik Amendment in relation to Uzbekistan is long overdue, since this country, being always friendly to representatives of the other nations and nationalities, cannot be classified as a country that restricts the freedom of movement of Jews. As Colon assured, she, along with Congressman Trent Kelly, will promote the issue of the early termination of the amendment. The decision on this issue will be made after a thorough and comprehensive analysis of the situation in the political, socio-economic and human rights spheres, progress in the protection of workers' rights, intellectual property, the elimination of trade barriers and customs tariffs, as well as the state of cooperation with the United States.
Uzbekistan's parliament discussed the challenges hampering the implementation process of the 3-year integrated development program of the country's autonomous Karakalpak Republic, measures that would ensure financial well-being of the population as well as the region's economic growth.
To date, 734 out of 1,359 projects included in the 2020 to 2023 program list have been launched so far. This helped create over 4,500 new jobs. The first quarter of 2021 is expected to see 99 launched investment projects. According to Bari Alikhanov, chairman of the Committee for the Development of the Aral Sea region, the execution of some projects is being postponed due to the untimely issuance of bank loans.
At the moment, one of the most acute problems in the reintegration of projects is the issue of bank loans. Accordingly, the ministers and agencies attached to cities and regions should take measures to increase the accountability of commercial banks in the implementation of projects and review the fund allocation criteria in the regions. It is also important to shorten the period of obtaining a license from the Committee of Geology, which has increased from 7 to 12 months. This makes the project implementation process more complex.
In the near future, the Karakalpak Republic is expected to see additional 711 investment projects worth nearly $900 million. New projects are to be carried out in the field of industry, the service sector and agriculture. More than 22,000 new jobs are expected to be created if the tasks will be performed on time. President Mirziyoyev earlier this month urged to pay more attention to livestock breeding and fish farming. According to the head of state, this would create permanent sources of income for the population.
Germany, France and Italy said Monday that they will be pausing their rollout of the AstraZeneca vaccine after several countries reported possible serious side effects, throwing Europe's already struggling vaccination campaign into disarray. Denmark and Norway stopped giving the shot last week after reporting isolated cases of bleeding, blood clots and a low platelet count. Iceland and Bulgaria quickly followed suit along with Ireland and the Netherlands, which announced suspensions on Sunday. French President Emmanuel Macron said that the country will wait until guidance is issued from the European Union's medicine regulator, which is due Tuesday.
The decision, which has been taken out of precaution in conformity with our European policy, is to suspend, by precaution, vaccinating with the AstraZeneca vaccine in the hope that we can resume quickly if the EMA gives the green light.
The United Kingdom said it had no concerns over the vaccine, while Poland said it thought the benefits outweighed any risks. The World Health Organization has appealed to countries not to suspend vaccinations, saying that there is no evidence that the incidents have been caused by the vaccine itself. Meanwhile, the EMA says that among 5 million people to have received the vaccine in 30 European countries, only 30 cases of blood clots had been reported as of March 10. The number, the EMA says, is the same as would be found in the general population anyway.
Thousands took to the streets of Bolivia on Monday in a show of support for former President Jeanine Áñez as she began a 4-month jail term. She's been accused of leading the removal of longtime leader Evo Morales in 2019. Demonstrators held signs calling her arrest political persecution. Áñez was taken from her home early Saturday and later transferred to a women's prison in the country's administrative capital, La Paz. Prosecutors for the socialist government said Áñez used security forces to push Morales to resign after a contested election in 2019 and install herself as interim president. Widespread protests broke out after Morales resigned. At least 33 people were killed in the violence that followed, the majority after Áñez took office. The former conservative leader has rejected the charges against her, saying she carried out a constitutional succession of power to replace Morales. 2 former ministers have also been ordered into custody on charges of terrorism, sedition, and conspiracy. Justice Minister Ivan Lima said on state television late Sunday he would seek a 30-year jail sentence for Áñez if she were found guilty. Meanwhile, rights groups say judicial channels are being abused for political ends.
2 suspects were charged on Monday in the attack on Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, who was rushed to the hospital after being sprayed with a chemical irritant during the January 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol and died the next day. The FBI alleges that Julian Eli Cater and George Pierre Tanios worked together to spray an unidentified but powerful chemical agent on at least 3 Capitol police officers on January 6th. The 2 men face multiple counts, including assaulting police with a deadly weapon, but neither were charged with killing Sicknick. According to the complaint, the FBI said the 2 men appeared to time the deployment of chemical substances to coincide with other rioters' efforts to forcibly remove the bike rack barriers that were preventing the rioters from moving closer to the Capitol building. 32-year-old Julian Cater of State College, Pennsylvania, was arrested after stepping off an airplane at Newark Airport in New Jersey. 39-year-old George Tanios was arrested at his home in Morgantown, West Virginia. More than 300 people have already been charged in connection with the riots at the Capitol, and the Justice Department said last week it intends to file charges against more than 100 additional defendants. 5 people, including Sicknick, died as a result of the Capitol siege by a mob of former President Donald Trump supporters who were hoping to stop Congress from certifying President Joe Biden's election victory.
Kim Yo-jong, the sister of North Korea's leader, delivered a blunt message to the U.S. administration on Tuesday. A newsreader on state media relayed Kim's words, warning that the Biden White House was, quote, trying hard to give off gunpowder smell in our land, and that if the U.S. wants peace, it had better refrain from causing a stink. She also criticized the ongoing joint military drills in South Korea that kicked off last week. The timing of the comments coincides with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's trip to Asia this week. Their first stop has been Japan, where Blinken said he wanted to work with allies on the denuclearization of North Korea. North Korea has so far rejected US attempts to engage in dialogue, the White House said on Monday, as a chill in relations that started under former President Trump extends into the current administration. Trump held 3 high-profile meetings with Kim Jong-un, but North Korea ended the talks and says it will not engage further unless the US drops its hostile policies.
A rally in shares of Apple lifted the Dow and S&P 500 to record highs in a choppy session Monday ahead of this week's Federal Reserve policy meeting. Bullish comments from several airlines drove investors to scoop up travel-related stocks, but others took profit in recent outperformers like banks and energy stocks as Treasury yields tick lower. Winthrop Capital Management Portfolio Manager Adam Coons.
You're seeing some people take some profits. And then that's why you're seeing interest rates down, because as they take those profits, they're moving into fixed income, which has sold off over the last. So you're just seeing just a very short-term rotation in the market right now in positioning.
The Dow closed higher for a 7th straight session, up 0.5%. The S&P 500 added 0.7%, and the Nasdaq gained 1%. Airlines were among the S&P's biggest winners after Delta, Southwest, and United said leisure bookings were rising. Other travel-related stocks joined the rally, Carnival and MGM Resorts among them. Eli Lilly shares dropped 9%. Analysts said mixed results from a mid-stage trial on its experimental Alzheimer's drug reduced the chances of its accelerated approval. And Tesla shares rose 2%. No joke, CEO Elon Musk added Techno King of Tesla to his list of official titles in a regulatory filing.
New York City bodegas are already famous for consumers being able to buy just about anything, anytime, day or night. And now, Bitcoins are added to the list. Bitcoin ATMs are popping up in the city and around the country in corner stores, delis, gas stations, and other easy-access consumer outlets, fueled by a frenzy in crypto trading that recently sent Bitcoin prices to a record high above $60,000 a pop. New York City deli owner Gamal Yaha doesn't even understand what Bitcoin is, but he does understand what it means for his bottom line.
It's bring a lot of people to the store. More people come into the store. People use the Bitcoin. They buy some stuff too from the store, and bring more business. So it's very good for the business.
Kiosk operators like CoinFlip and CoinCloud have installed thousands of Bitcoin ATMs, and executives say they are scouting out other spots in areas where their competitors have yet to reach. Chris Yim is CEO and co-founder of LibertyX, which provides the software for Bitcoin ATMs. He says his product is helping to bring the complex world of Bitcoin to the masses.
So when you look at traditional financial services, it's really hard to get people to switch because it's all about trust. And most of the online exchanges today, you have to link your bank account, you have to enter all your information and do a wire or bank transfer, and that's just too much friction. So what we found is actually that a lot of these local delis, convenience stores, they actually have the best locations because they are centerpieces of their neighborhood, so they made very natural partners for us to go that extra and last mile.
Users can buy or sell Bitcoins or a fraction using the ATM and send Bitcoins abroad, all with anonymity. But it comes at a much steeper price than cash and a traditional ATM. Fees can range from 6% to 20% of a total transaction, according to cryptocurrency compliance firm CipherTrace. Government agencies say that raises red flags, and there is concern about the potential for illicit activity. But that may not stop a Bitcoin ATM from popping up at a store near you. As of January, there were more than 28,000 Bitcoin ATMs in the United States, according to independent research site HowManyBitcoinATMs.com. More than 1/3 of those were put in place just the last 5 months alone.
This South Korean island only has a few children left, and it's rapidly depopulating. 10-year-old Liu Chan-hee and his 2 younger sisters are among the last 100 residents, and they don't have many playmates. Their school opened especially for them a few years ago. They have a makeshift mini classroom and a teacher who was dispatched from the mainland.
It'd be great if I could have more friends here because I can have more options to play.
Nokdo is emblematic of a wider demographic crisis. According to the World Bank, South Korea saw its population drop for the first time last year. It has the world's fastest aging society with the lowest birth rate anywhere in 2020, with its fertility rate sliding to just 0.84. That's compared to 4.5 in 1970. South Korea's economic boom since the 70s saw the rise of world-class manufacturers like Samsung Electronics and Hyundai Motor. More women began to enter the workforce, and family planning campaigns, including sterilization, began. 66-year-old resident Kim Si-young recalls memories of a crowded school and how his generation was advised to get vasectomies to curb population growth.
When we went for national service military training, some of us used to undergo vasectomy to curb population growth after having kids. Some got their wives to get it done. It would be an empty island if the numbers continue to decrease. It saddens me. I want to protect Nokdo, but it's depressing to see fewer and fewer people.
More recently, soaring house prices in the Seoul metropolitan area has been blamed for fewer babies in the country. Lockdowns also discouraged couples from marrying and starting families. For Chan-hee, Nokdo provides a better playground, despite the lack of friends.
Seoul is so crowded, noisy, and the air is not good. However, Nokdo has no traffic, isn't noisy, and the air is clean. I can play outside more actively, so I like it here.
Chan-hee's father plans to stay in Nokdo for as long as his pastoral position allows, even if that means taking his children's schooling into his own hands.
I am not sure how the middle school issue will be solved. The best option is finding a way to provide middle school education to Chan-hee from here, but if impossible, I'm also considering homeschooling.
And this was our last report. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.